very much. I hope you don't mind if I don't use the mic. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I prefer not using mic if that's all right. I learned that in the military, so I hope it's all right with all of you. But I have to tell you, yes, like Colleen said, I'd like to echo one very important thing. We are doing extremely well. And it's not because of my candidacy, it's because of everything that you are all doing in the field, talking to your friends, your relatives, just like Colleen said, and spreading the message of what it means for less taxes, less government, and more personal freedom. And it's not just buzzwords for us, but it's actually a way of life. And this election will set the stage for our nation. Without going into too much politics, I'll tell you this much. This morning, when I woke up, I turned on what I normally do, Fox and Friends. And go figure, it was either that or the Today Show, and I guess Fox and Friends wins every time. And I was listening to their talk about the national debt and how this year is truly a historic year, because this year we will spend more money than ever before in deficits. And for those that do not know, the deficit is the year-to-year red, that we go into red, and the debt is the overall amount of money that all of our deficits combine to. By the end of this year, we will be at $14 trillion in debt. And for the first time ever, if any of you have been watching the news this week, Kerry Peters, our incumbent one-term Democrat, has come out and said he's a deficit hawk. And he's going to fight the deficit. But how can you fight the deficit when you voted for increased programs and the largest spending of our nation ever, and the largest takeover of personal freedom ever, turning 1/3 of our national economy over to the federal government? Now, I'm a big family guy. My mom is here, my wife, Amalia, and my mom, Sonia, are here. But our family stops where we basically give charity. We're big on charity, but we don't expect somebody else to give to our family. We take care of ourselves. So being a big family guy, I think it's time we put Uncle Sam on a Weight Watchers diet. That's what I basically believe. But anyway, I am grateful that you're all here today. And like Colleen said, after Mrs. Schlafly's presentation, we'll be more than happy to take any questions. And then at 10:30, if you walk around this corridor, if you'd like to, we're doing a Rocky Roundup, and it's a big rally about how you can get involved in the campaign in the last final days and on election day to make sure that our lead actually becomes a tremendous victory on election day. Because folks, you know, I wasn't looking to run for Congress. I actually asked some high-profile names of people that I respected to run for Congress, and they all turned to me and said, no, we're doing something else, why don't you run for Congress? So here we are. We're in this together. You are part of my extended family. We're going to win this on August 3rd, and I'm counting on all of you, like, again, Colleen said. We all need to spread the message of positive campaigning, spread the message of our campaign, and talk to all your friends, relatives, and whoever else. The story that was mentioned about even your enemies, I believe that comes from a gentleman that came to our office 2 days ago. And he said, I knocked on this one gentleman's door and his neighbor, and they both already had Rocky signs. And I was a little bit confused why I'm knocking on their door, but they weren't on the voter lists. But I saw Rocky signs, so I walked up to their door and I knocked on their door and I said, you know, are you voting for Rocky because you're not on my door-to-door list? And they said, oh, absolutely. And the gentleman that was walking door-to-door said, I guess, is your neighbor also voting for Rocky because he's not on our door-to-door list? And the first gentleman at the door said, yes, we were actually arch enemies, and Rocky negotiated a peace treaty between us on a property issue, so now we're both supporting him, and we're both voting for him. So I guess enemies can support candidates. I am going to introduce Violet Vestovich, who I am honored to have Mrs. Phyllis Schlafly here. Mrs. Phyllis Schlafly is what I consider the mother of the modern conservative movement. There are people that I look up to, and in today's society it's so hard to find heroes to look up to and try to model yourself. Ronald Reagan, what a heart of compassion, the sense of humor of a comedian, of Bob Hope, and the mind and the dreamer of a great thinker like Socrates. Ronald Reagan, my favorite president, and to just have the mother of the modern conservative movement here with us today, the woman that gave more fits to Patsy Schroeder. Do you remember the name Patsy Schroeder from Colorado? To have her here to support our campaign, I am deeply honored, and I'm going to introduce the person that will introduce the person, and that is Violet Vestovich. Violet has been a supporter of our campaign, and I've known Violet for a long, long time. Those that do not know, Violet's been very active at the Bloomfield Women's Republican Club, and she is also the leader, the president of the Eagle Forum in Michigan. The Eagle Forum has had many educational forums throughout Michigan, and one of the last ones, I would believe, was 3-4 months ago in Birmingham, and very widely attended. There were about 200-300 people, and actually one family came up from Kentucky to listen to the speakers and to Violet. So with that, I am honored to introduce Violet Vestovich. Thank you.